Alright, in today's episode, we'll be talking about Popposites. In my videos, my goal is to show people what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And these are just my opinions. I've taken a lot of different therapies, and some worked and some didn't, and some worked and some aspects of these programs didn't work. And what I did is in my journey, because I became my own guinea pig and guide. Hey, what's up? I took out all the good things that worked from all these different programs that cost a fortune and from all these different coaches, and I put them together into my own version, and then I added my experience into it. Eventually I'll probably write a book, an Audible book or something, so that people can learn everything step by step themselves. So this is just my opinion, and I always say to make sure you get checked by a doctor, and after you have, then you can listen to my videos. I know that my methods work faster and are better than a lot of the programs that are out there, and they don't just work for me, they work for anybody, because we're all built the same. We all have the same, we're human, right? We all have a nervous system. We all have a brain. So if you have a brain and a nervous system, this will work for you 1000%. So that goes for all the videos that I post. So anyway, this one's about Popposites and why I think they don't work and they're unnecessary. Okay. Popposites. What's the point of a Popposite? For DNRS, it's if you have a looping what if thought, you can take that thought, you're aware of it, and then you can go, okay, you can redirect and go, well, let's say this thought says you're going to die tomorrow, or you're going to be sick forever, and the Popposite would be, no, I'm not going to be sick forever. I'm going to be, whatever you can think of that's the opposite of that. That's why they call it a Popposite. So you have your pops that come interrogate you mentally, constantly, looping OCD thoughts, triggers, intrusive thoughts, doubt. I had all of those. I had those second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, month to month, week to week. I had that for a year and a half, constantly. It was like a constant ebb that I was going through, a constant spike, and it hardly ever stopped. It would, as soon as I woke up, when I got sleep, finally, I think it took me four months for me to finally be able to sleep. As soon as I woke up, all day until around 7-ish, that's when my pops started to slow down. I still had them, but they started to slow down because the cortisol level started to calm down. So that's when I got a little bit of relief. But yeah, I was doing the Popposites. I was doing all the methods in DNRS. And you know what? I'm grateful that I went through DNRS, because DNRS was my stepping stone. If I didn't take DNRS, I wouldn't have found other solutions that actually worked. I wouldn't have found the right solutions, right? So DNRS was, half of it was working and the other half wasn't. And it caused me to find out what did work. So what I find with Popposites, all it is a way to make a deal with your limbic system. So you're making deals, it turns into an event, and it's one of those things that you'll never win. You're not supposed to win, because if you picture your limbic system in your brain, your amygdala, it's a security system. It's there to keep you alive. It doesn't care if you suffer, as long as you're alive. So what does it do? It uses OCD to scan for danger. So it'd rather you suffer, but if you have OCD and you have a looping thought, you're constantly scanning for danger, right? You're like a squirrel. You're like constantly, can't pay attention long enough because you're always looking for danger. With OCD, it makes you scan. And if you're constantly scanning, the chances of you being alive are greater, because you will catch that perceived danger that's not there. But you never know. Danger might come. There might be a fire that might just pop up. A bear might pop up out of the woods, out of the blue. So it's doing its job. It's preparing you constantly for danger. So that's what OCD does, and that's what doubt also is for. Doubt is there for you to investigate. because you doubt everything. So when you're investigating, you're ruminating, you're scanning, those are all mechanisms that the brain sends to you so that you are scanning for danger, and it will keep you alive. But we suffer when we do that. It's horrible. It's the worst feeling in the world. So when you're in an elevated state of fight or flight, the brain sends alarms constantly because it perceives danger. And our job is to send the proper responses to turn off these alarms one by one. So the limbic system is a security system that's there to, keep you alive. It's like your bodyguard. It has surveillance. It has smell, touch, hearing, everything to decide if you're in danger or not. And sometimes, you might not see anything, still perceive danger just in case, because we've been through a lot of shit in our lives, right? And it's built up. Our buckets became full. Throughout the years, you've been in maybe toxic relationships. You had surgery. You had a shitty work-life balance. You were too stressed. You were on heavy-duty medication. You hated your boss. Your coworkers are backstabbers. So then slowly your limbic system started to elevate, and then you started becoming in a survival state. Because when you're, like, say, at a job for 10 years and it's a toxic environment, guess what? It's gonna elevate. And when something stays, let's say, for 10 years, and you're elevated for 10 years, the brain hardwires it in. It locks it in. So then you're in an anxious state, and you're getting these alarms sent to you. So when you're doing a Popposite, what you're doing is you're making deals with your brain. You're going, well, how about this? How about that? And then you're looking for reassurance. And with OCD, reassurance does not work. It's a short term. It works for the, short periods, but in the long run, you're just keeping yourself stuck in that OCD loop. So stop making deals. Stop doing Popposites because they don't work. What you should do is just allow the thought to be there. Take the resistance away. With Popposites, there's also resistance because you're figuring it out. You're turning it into an event. You're ruminating. You're trying to fix, right? You're turning it into a project. Like, what kind of Popposite how can I convince my amygdala or my limbic system that everything's going to be all right? And that's the point. You will never win. It sends you the bait so that you can, and it's usually always a scary thought. It has to be. It's doing its job. It's brilliant. It sends you the bait. It gets your attention, and it has to be something that gets your attention, which is usually, oh, a piece of ice just fell. That was cool. It has to get your attention so that I can pull you to the root emotion, because emotions are trying to come out. And the root emotion in our case is fear. So what we have to do is not distract. We have to allow all these alarms, these emotions, these feelings to run wild. And that's where the Dare app, that's one of the apps that I took that worked. Dare is an amazing program. I would download it and put it in my phone and have it with me every day and watch maybe 10 minutes. There's a daily Dare every day, so just listen to the daily Dare every day for, it's usually 10 minutes, and go on with your day. But allow these pops to be. If you allow them to be, you don't need to do a Popposite, because you're just chasing your tail. You'll never win. And it's designed in a way to get your attention. So don't take the bait. Don't try to fix. Don't try to Popposite. Don't ruminate on it. Just allow it to be there fully. And yes, you're gonna feel like shit. You're supposed to feel like shit, because if you don't, when you're feeling like shit, that's where the work is being done. You're gonna feel like you're in a war zone. And I was in a war zone every day, but that's where the work is done. It's how you respond. So allow the thoughts to be there. And you know what? If you really want to take the resistance away, agree with them. If you're having a pop, agree with the pop. If it says, you're not going to heal, go, you know what? Let's find out. I agree with you. I'm not going to heal. Actually, I think I'm going to be sick until I'm 99. And you know what? I'm actually going to live longer just so I can be sick longer. So try to figure out ways to agree with it, because when you allow it to run wild, it starts to dissolve. So that thought, here's another thing. That thought that is sent to you, that what if thought, that alarm, it's irrelevant. The content of that thought doesn't matter. But we feel like it matters. It feels like it's the most important content subject in the world right now, because it says your hormones going crazy, your feelings go crazy, your body reacts. So it feels very real and very shitty. So it feels like you have to do something now. It's very urgent because it's trying to keep you safe. It wants you to fight or flee. But what you have to do is understand what's happening and allow your body to go there, allow your brain to go there and act crazy. And you know what? Tell it to ask for more. Go, you know what? Give me more. I want more of that. And that takes away the resistance. Okay. So, Popposites just keep you in an event that you don't need to do. And when you're doing that, you're elevating your limbic system because you're trying to fix, you're ruminating, and you're caught up in it. You're making deals with your limbic system, and you'll never win. So it elevates it. And we don't want to elevate it. We want it to calm down and rewire to a lower baseline so that the brain sends less alarms, not more alarms, less alarms. So agree with it. Take away the resistance, right? When the problem comes this way, let it pass. Don't fight it. When you fight it, you're putting energy into it, which elevates, and then the brain hardwires it in, and you get stuck. So when you have a problem and the resistance coming, let it float through you. Allow it. Surrender. Feel it. Tell Limby, send me the fear. Give me all you got. I love this. Give me more. Is that all you got? No, you got more. Come on. It will give you more. And then picture it as a dark purple cloud floating through here, through your chest here, in your neck, in your chest, and imagining it passing through. And do that for all your pops. Process your pops. When you stop distracting, eventually you will get like a bottleneck effect where all these thoughts that were distracted for such a long time will finally be like, me next, I'm next, could I be processed next? Because distracting yourself from these alarms, all it is resistance. So what you resist persists, and if you ignore an alarm, guess what? It's going to ring louder. So acknowledge the alarms, because what are alarms for? What's the purpose of an alarm? The purpose of an alarm, here, I'm going to drink some water, is to be heard. And if you ignore an alarm, it's going to ring louder because it's supposed to get your attention, because it's trying to save your life. But sometimes these alarms, well, in our case, all the time, these alarms are perceived dangers that are not there. So you have to feel the uncomfortable alarms, sit through them, sit through the fear, allow them to be there, and your response changes them one by one. And then your limbic system starts to calm down, and you get less alarms, and you get better at it, you build leverage, and then you start to recover, and you live your life. So Popposites just get in the way. You don't need them. Stop doing them. Don't waste your time. Instead, catch your pops by being aware of them and going, oh wait, that's a pop. What did I used to do? I used to distract. Oh, I used to resist. I used to do this. And then redirect by allowing and engaging in life. Make sure you allow before you engage. Don't distract by doing the dishes. Engage in the dishes with having the thought come with you. Go, you know what? Sit on my shoulder while I do the dishes. And first, allow it. Picture it floating through you. Then go do the dishes and bring it along with you. Not, oh shit, here's a thought. Okay, I got to redirect to the dishes so that this thought will leave me alone and I'm going to distract from that thought. That's the resistance. When you have resistance, the alarm's going to ring harder and you're fighting yourself. Limbic system elevates, so you're stuck. And that's why I've noticed with a lot of people in DNRS, they heal, they do really well, and then they get more anxiety because they're healing. And that's normal. That's a good thing. And then they get stuck because they're responding wrong to intrusive thoughts, anxiety, to the looping triggers. And one of the reasons for that is when you start to heal, the brain has less ways of getting your attention because it doesn't like change, right? So when the bodily symptoms start to heal, it goes, okay, well, I got to get their attention somehow. So let's ramp up the anxiety. Let's ramp up the doubt. Let's ramp up the looping thoughts, the triggers, so we can get their attention. I don't like change. This is Mayday, Mayday, right? So it does that. And there's another thing. What happens at that time is that your brain is addicted to can chemistry, which is, can chemistry is like a cocktail the brain is used to having when you're constantly fixated on your bodily symptoms or your anxiety. Can chemistry is cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. I can never say that word. It's the last one. You can Google it. I always screw it up. I even have it written down. Norepinephrine. It's been 2 years and I still can't say it. Anyway, what happens is when you have body symptoms and you have anxiety or whatever, you're sitting on big supply of can chemistry. So the brain kind of relaxes because, like, oh, he's fixated on this symptom. He's got back pain, or he's got whatever thousands other symptoms that people have, or that I had. And when you're constantly focused on these symptoms, you're feeding your brain can chemistry. So it's content. It's sitting on a big supply. It's got this bags and bags full of can chemistry. So it chills out. We're good. He's looping on this on his heartbeat, and he's looping on why he can't sleep, and he's looping on why he's getting insomnia, and he's got back pain, and he's looping on why his heart rate is elevated, and why you name it, right? So then while you're obsessed or looping on your symptoms, you're giving your brain the supply it needs, and it chills out. But once you start to understand what's going on, and you start to learn how to recover physically, the brain is limited on how it can get your attention. And it's also addicted to the can chemistry. So what happens? Let's say you for example, you were to take a bag of meth or a heroin from a drug addict. It's gonna have tantrums. It's gonna freak out. And that's what your body does when it changes. When it starts to heal, it starts to have tantrums. And the brain and the limbic systems sees that as danger, perceived danger. So it goes into alarm states. And it sends you triggers, alarms, anxiety, intrusive thoughts, OCD, looping thoughts. So see that as a good thing. It's doing its job. See that the more anxiety you get when you recover, that you're actually doing the work. And people need to understand that recovery actually gets worse. It gets harder. Symptoms get harder before they get better. So people are like, well, before I started the program, I was feeling, okay. And then, I got a lot worse. It's like, yeah, well, that's how it works. But you have to keep going. So we'll talk about what other methods don't work, so that you can save yourself time and focus on things that do work and move ahead, leaps and bounds. Because I'm just here to help everybody move ahead in their journey a lot quicker and suffer the least amount possible. But there are areas in recovery where you need to face your triggers. You need to hunt them. You need to run towards them, which will be hard, and it actually puts you 3 steps back. But the long run benefits are huge. So that's my thought on Popposites. I think they're a waste of time, and you'll never win with it. So don't bother doing them. Just allow the pops to be there. Allow them to run wild, and agree with them, and take away the resistance. And you will find that works a lot quicker, and it helps your limbic system to calm down a lot faster. So today was Popposites, and we got a big list of things to cover. So join me for the next video. I'm sorry I went a little long today. All right, well, have a good day, and join me on my next video. Thanks.